Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 1638, written by Stuart, 404, the hero of the mine. So this has always bothered me. I was 13 years old at the time, and my dad was a coal miner. He worked third shift, known as the hoot owl shift, which was midnight to noon. As such, he got home around 2 p.m. and slept till around 9, got up, had dinner with us, and left for work. My dad was always pretty gruff and constantly yelled at us if my younger brother or I made too much noise and woke him up after getting home from somewhere, which as an adult now I completely understand. So one day I did something to wake him up, I forget what. Anyways, he calls me back to the bedroom. I'm expecting to get a dressing down, but he just looked at me and said, "It's okay, come over here and give me a hug." What 13-year-old boy wants to hug their dad? I kinda squirmed a bit and he followed up with, "What if something happened to me?" and just laid there all grizzled and tired. I didn't hug him. That night, there was an accident in the mine. He saved everyone on his crew, including the one person he went back in for. His was the only death, and I'm convinced he knew it was gonna happen. I'll never forget his eyes that day. If someone asks you for a hug, give it to them. I love you, Dad. Oh, wow. It's a hell of a story. Case notes for file 1638, the hero of the mine. To what extent was your father aware? And man, just rest in peace for a truly heroic, legendary figure. Saving so many lives without even thinking about his own. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with thinking about your own, but if you go to that extra step of trying to save everyone else and managing to pull it off, did he do that because he felt like some call, like he was shown a vision of the future of what would happen? And because of that he said, well, okay, I'm being shown this, maybe I'm supposed to act as a guardian angel for all these people. And he still has a choice, and he chose that. Or was it more like an instinct, something didn't feel right, like that sense of impending doom that people on their deathbed have? But that's because their own body is deteriorating. In this case, it's a knowledge of the future that could come to pass if he chose it. And my guess is if he didn't, if he avoided the mine altogether, those people would have all died, but he would have lived. And is that even wrong? I don't think that's wrong, I just think it's not being a hero. He chose the path of heroism, and that should be commended. It's truly heroic. Case file number 1639, written by Antique Safety 4246. When darkness surrenders to daylight. My husband and I experienced a sudden shift to day, or something else, at about midnight one night. We were outside late, smoking in my driveway. It was dark because it was the middle of the night. Suddenly, we saw a wall of light approach us from far off. Not like a flash or explosion. It was a wall of light we could see approaching, despite happening in theory at the speed of light. Then it was upon us. It lit up our entire neighborhood like it was day. But oddly, it felt like we were both in this light, and felt it pass through us. Then it passed behind us and it was gone. I checked our security camera. It indeed showed the entire world lit up like day, but it was so fast in real time, like a sudden blip, that when it paused the video and found the point in time it was dark, then light, then dark, it was literally one frame of the video footage where everything was lit up like day. I sent a screenshot to my mom and then realized the light created no shadows. It also didn't alter the shadows formed by our security light, where that light shined behind us, towards the cars parked in front of us. Like the source was from everywhere, all around us, just as if we were in the light source. There were no shadows from us, none from our cars, not even below the cars or in front. So the source was neither above us nor in front of us like a flash. The source was everywhere, for that split fraction of a second. Yet we'd been able to see the wall of light approach as if it had a physical edge. And were able to see in the moment that all was daylight for just a moment, daylight without shadows. It was a significant enough length of time experienced by both of us to take this all in, despite seeing on camera that it had been so fast that only one single frame of film caught it. What the hell is that? How can that be explained? Had it been a brilliant flash of light or explosion, we'd have seen shadows created. Was it alien, paranormal, otherworldly? Was there an atomic bomb and we shifted realities? I doubt that, as we had video evidence in our new reality. If that had been the case, I don't get it. There was no temperature difference. There was no sound. We were just suddenly in a pure light source for that moment in time. as it physically traveled through us, around us, and then was gone. Any thoughts or rational explanations? Questão to file 1639. When darkness surrenders to daylight. Alien vibes indeed. And I think, as you point out, if it was a nuclear device that went off in some other universe, there wouldn't be evidence in this universe from the camera. That did catch a brief flash. It's like time perception alteration. I'm recalling the movie Contact, where Jodie Foster's character, Ellie, goes into this machine. She meets these aliens that can't, they're taking form of her dad who died because they don't want to appear to scare her as their true form. And if they're so far beyond us, it would be almost impossible to even imagine. They might even occupy a higher dimension, and that would be impossible to even visualize. So they appear to her in a way that she could comprehend, telling her she's not really ready. The human race isn't ready to receive them. This is like the first step. Small contact. But not even with proof. There's sort of proof, because in the movie, there's this device that plunges into a rotating spiral machine. It plunges in through these orbiting rings, but doesn't hit them. Per the perception of everyone outside, it goes right through. This pod goes right through it. From Ellie's perspective, she's gone for hours, maybe days. It's not really clear. She's like traveling across through a wormhole, through the whole galaxy. But when she comes back, even though from everyone's perspective outside, it went immediately through, the pod went immediately through, on the camera inside the pod, it recorded hours and hours, like 12 hours of static. So that's not exactly evidence, but it does point to something. The time perception element was completely broken. Now, if aliens exist here, for real, are they able to manipulate, maybe through a higher dimensional level, the time perception we experience? So something really did happen. And in the fourth dimension of time that we occupy, it was done in a single flash, a single frame. But for your perception, it took many, many frames, which is a factor of several hundred times, difference in the rate of time passage. So if aliens could do this, well, they would be beyond us on a level we can't comprehend. And then, were they doing it to study you? Did they wipe your memory as well, and all you remember is this flash? Which wasn't heat, which wasn't really light as we know it? Maybe it's just what your minds could comprehend of this higher dimensional realm. And it's just not possible to comprehend higher dimensions. If you're on a 3D sphere, trying to visualize 5 dimensions is impossible. It's like if you're 2-dimensional, trying to visualize 3-dimension. If anything from the 3rd dimension would intersect with the 2nd dimension, you would see just this weird frame. It wouldn't really relate to time, but if time has more dimensions, then yeah, it could relate to this. Maybe the flash you saw was the intersection point, and you got caught in it. But for some reason the camera didn't interface. Maybe it requires a human soul to interface on that higher level. This is a whole bunch of speculation, I really don't know, but it's fascinating. Hey, did you know I have a 2nd channel where I react to shows I've never seen before? Check it out, link is in the description. Now onto the story. Bonus file, written by Autofac, The Sound of Sleep. I was living for 3 summers in a big old house that served as the rectory, church house, for a church where I was working. The minister was in and out all summer, and I was also there to house sit while he was on vacation. At the time, I was really into sleep tracking apps, and particularly sleep noise recording apps to see if I could hear myself talking in my sleep. I ran it almost every night and never heard a single interesting thing. I barely snore, so I would hear the odd siren outside, the bed creaking as I rolled over, breathing, a fart, etc. One morning, when I was alone in the house, minister on vacation, and I opened the app to play back noises from the night before, all the usual stuff until the second to last recording. The recording was from around 3:30 to 4 in the morning. You can clearly hear me breathing and that I am not rolling around or moving much. If I had rolled or gotten up, the app would have recorded it as it was an old and creaky bed. Suddenly, as you hear me breathing, there comes the noise of 3 very distinct and unmistakable raps of knuckles on wood, followed by a 2-second pause and the snapping of fingers. Tap, 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 snap. It was super unnerving, especially because there was no evidence that it was me doing it. It bothered me enough that I set the phone back down on the nightstand and tried to recreate the noise from anywhere that I could reach while laying on the bed, the frame, the bedside table, the nearby bookcase, but I could never get it exactly, or figure out what wood was being tapped on. Whatever the case, the noise was distant enough that it could not have come from anywhere that it could have reached while lying in the bed. I have never been prone to sleepwalking, talking, or even getting up in the night to go to the bathroom, so I'm quite certain it wasn't me. This is something that has stuck with me, and for which I have no answer. Questions for the bonus file. The sound of sleep. Is anyone else freaked out by the idea of recording themselves sleeping? Not just audio, but visuals as well? I'm always thinking, if I record myself and I watch back, I'm gonna see these weird aliens or monsters that are looming over me, just observing. I'm sure it's not true, but it's still a fear that I have, so I'm never gonna do it. Because who knows, I don't want to know. If that's the case, I can keep those ghoulish apparitions far away from my psyche, as long as I don't record myself. As nonsensical as that is, there you go, one of my phobias. And in your case, it's a materialized fear. Now it's only audio. Imagine what you would have seen if it was visual as well. Oh boy, God, nope. Okay, time for the joke of the day. My friend asked me to help him round up his 37 sheep. I said 40. There you go, mathematical pun. Let's do it. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.